Did USC finally find that missing piece to the championship puzzle?
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Marc, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, pick your platform, download this podcast. It's always going to be free, and I'm always going to appreciate your support. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Not sure what it is about USC and these Friday news dumps, but they did it again. USC used another Friday news dump to announce that they've added a general manager to their front office. So after landing tight ends coach Chad Savage, linebacker coach Rob Ryan, who they announced last week on a Friday, and also holding on to defensive coordinator Antonlynn, giving him a contract extension, there was still one spot left. Everyone's saying USC is missing a general manager, someone to be Lincoln Riley's savior, the recruiting savior. Well, USC went out and they bought one. His name is Chad Bowden. They got him away from Notre Dame, and they're giving him a pretty significant pay raise to become USC's new general manager. Allegedly, he was being paid around $300,000 by Notre Dame. USC is going to be paying him. Allegedly, they made him an offer he couldn't refuse, $1 million a year. After the USC announcement was announced, Chad Bowden released the following statement. Jen Cohen, Lincoln Riley, and USC's total commitment to excellence makes this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is a place with the resources, facilities, and support to build a perennial winner, and I'm excited to get to work to help bring more national championships to USC. Close quote. You know, those words, albeit different, sound almost identical to what Lincoln Riley said when he was introduced as USC's new head coach. But I will say this. It does look like Jen Cohn, as well as Lincoln Riley, have found the right piece, or at least the right price that they can lure Notre Dame's general manager, Chad Bowden, and bring him into the Cardinal and Gold Empire. As I mentioned, it's being rumored, it's being alleged that USC is tripling his salary. No one can make the claim that USC isn't doing whatever is necessary to rebuild itself. Can't make that claim. They're spending money. I mean, they've spared no expense on their head coach. They have the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country, Antonlynn. They put together a staff of assistant coaches that is second to no one. Again, quoting Lincoln Riley. And also, let's not forget about the football-only facilities that I believe they're going to be open next year, 2026. A lot of people in the industry considered Chad Bowden one of the top front office guys working college football. He's considered a star in the making, and he was just recently tabbed as Football Scoop's Player Personnel Director of the Year. People within that industry, his peers, other GMs, recruiting coordinators, they make these votes. Now, the name Chad Bowden sounds familiar, or at least the last name, it should. His father, Jim, was a general manager for the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves. He got his job with Cincinnati when he was young as well, 31 years old. Today, he works for the Major League Baseball Network. So how did USC get Chad Bowden away from Notre Dame? As I mentioned, they made him an offer he couldn't refuse, tripled his salary. USC's current chief of staff, Dave Emmerich, also played a role. You know, that guy wears a lot of hats at USC. There's a lot of you out there who think you know what he does, but you don't. and you've made him public enemy number one for no reason. Because you listen to people who might be an agent, and they're only going to give you their side of the story. They really don't tell you everything that's involved. Anyways, I'm going down a rabbit trail. I don't want to go down there right now. But Dave Emmerich, his main responsibilities included roster management, scholarship numbers, evaluating and identifying talent, helping hire, retain, coaching, support staff, delivering those NIL messages to the recruits and to those NIL agents. Dave had very little to do with negotiating NIL contracts. That wasn't why Lincoln Riley brought him along to USC. But he was the guy responsible for delivering the messages to recruits, to the transfers. And those conversations as far as how much you're going to get, all that's taken care of with Lincoln Riley, House of Victory. Dave Emmerich didn't really play a role in that. He delivered the message. So again, for all of you Dave Emmerich haters out there, he gets a lot of credit for the current coaching staff, the guys USC has who they've recruited, not to mention getting Chad Bowden interested in coming to USC. I mean, I could lay out more. He played a significant role in looking and hiring Antonlynn. That's huge. He was also involved with Eric Henderson, Doug Belk, Rob Ryan. I mean, I can go on. But Chad Bowden is coming to take some of those duties away from him. There was too much on his plate. It's going to allow Coach Riley, I don't know, spend more time being a head coach. It's going to let Dave be more efficient in his job duties. Basically, Dave is going to be your chief of staff, and Chad Bowden is coming in as your general manager. What he was doing over at Notre Dame was balancing the NIL budget, and he'll do that as well at USC. And he's also going to have allegedly, according to reports, a larger NIL budget to work with than he had at South Bend. Now, if that's true, that might help bringing more talent to USC. I'm more concerned with retaining the talent that's already at USC. So here's my first question. The first thing that came into my mind, because if USC already had the built-in NIL, it was already better than Notre Dame's. What is Chad going to bring to the table? If it's about money, USC already had more money. I don't necessarily agree, but what is he going to do differently? And again, why did Notre Dame match the offer from USC? They just put $20 million into their bank account from the playoffs. It's not like they can't afford it. So again, I'm skeptical about Notre Dame's name, image, and likeness fund being poorly funded. I just don't believe it. I mean, some are saying, well, he was only working with $7 million. The guy was performing miracles. Sorry. There's no way that number was that low. Let's think about this. They brought in Riley Leonard to play quarterback. That dude was making at least $1 million. And then you have guys like Xavier Watts and Jack Kaiser, who said, come on back to Notre Dame for another year. Those guys weren't playing for pennies, I promise you. They were making a pretty good, substantial, they were making good NIL. That's all I'm going to say. So give me a break. He was hamstrung. He only had like $10 million to work with. No. Are you telling me that their running backs, both of them, weren't getting paid? You telling me Bo Collins, the transfer wide receiver from Clemson, didn't get a bag? Stop it. There's 85 scholarship players on that roster. I guarantee you they were spending more than $7 or $8 million. So let's just stop that. Now, will Chad bring new ideas to USC? Definitely, absolutely, without a doubt. Plus, USC gets the added benefit of knowing that, hey, they might have weakened Notre Dame. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with stabbing your rival in the heart. So if it's true that USC has the necessary NIL funds, let's also remember this, because to me, this is the biggest challenge facing USC. It's not that they can't pay the players what they want to pay. It's the transfer portal. USC has no control over that. Neither does the NCAA, for that matter. So I just want to caution Trojan fans. It's okay to be excited, to be optimistic. I don't think adding Chad Bowden is detrimental in any way, shape, or form. But let's not pretend that he holds all the answers. And he's going to reinvent USC's recruiting success like they had when Pete Carroll or Lane Kiffin was their head coach. He's not going to be some magical panacea that's going to stop players like Bear Alexander or Emmanuel Prion, who in good faith renegotiate their deals and then pick up and leave a couple days later. And as far as 2025 is concerned, I'm not sure how much Chad is going to be able to help with their 2025 recruiting class. You got signing day coming up in about a week. And look, and if we're being honest, getting elite guys to come visit USC, that's never been an issue. Never has been, probably never will be. What Chad will be able to do, though, this year, that to possibly help this roster, he's going to get a chance to manage that spring transfer window. More importantly, he's also going to be on board. He'll be able to be responsible for that revenue sharing that's coming to fruition, I believe, this summer. So again, there's a lot of optimism. Adding someone who's considered one of the best in the industry, always a good thing. However, I remember when Lincoln Riley was brought on board, all the same things were said. Oh, USC found the guy, they're on their way, yada, yada, yada. Here we are going into year 4, and now everyone's saying, well, Lincoln Riley needs a general manager to identify recruits, to be the recruiting coordinator. Okay. One thing no one can dispute at all, USC is making the effort regardless of the cost. They spent money on the head coach, general manager, facilities, support staff, assistant coaches. There's no one left to blame anymore. Nobody. No more excuses. This is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back. And then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your own taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deductible possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. USC fans are psyched, right? USC has a general manager now. Apparently, Chad was that missing link. Here's my question. Is he coming in as a general manager or is he a recruiting coordinator? I don't know. Maybe general manager is the new title that's being given out today. But whatever role he's taking over, what he's going to be doing at USC, all the feedback that's coming out has been pretty positive. Back in the spring last year, 2024, Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame's head coach, said this about Chad Bowden. Quote, Chad is a lead at what he does. The opportunity for him to lead our entire personnel staff is, to me, something that is earned. He's earned that right and is doing a great job. He does such a great job at what he does. That's not just connecting with recruits, but planning, leading a group of people, and evaluations. So again, it makes me wonder why Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman let him walk away to USC of all places. I know last year Michigan made a concerted effort to try and bring him into their fold. Didn't happen. USC stepped up and said, "Hey, you want to come here?" A year later, not too long after Notre Dame was playing in the national championship game, he's packing up, coming to California. One of the online entities that covers Notre Dame, Irish Sports Daily, one of their media guys said this about Marcus Freeman. He is a relentless recruiter, builds relationships with everyone involved in the recruitment. Will do things outside the box and be creative. They'll bring in an infectious energy that no one in that place has ever seen, close quote. All right, hyperbole aside, that last line kind of bugged me a little bit. Trust me, USC knows what infectious energy looks and feels like. I don't know, maybe Chad will pull an Ed Orgeron, rip off a shirt in the meeting room, get the whole team shirtless, have Fred Matua leading everybody, doing a wartime chant, take it outside. USC has never had a problem with energy. And I'm sure Chad is great at what he does, but that last line, he'll bring in an infectious energy that no one in that place has ever seen. Check yourself, Notre Dame fan. Another one of those online reading platforms, Blue and Gold, Kyle Kelly. He shared the recruiting success of Notre Dame, and he said largely, Notre Dame's roster is because of Chad Bowden. Quote, Bowden has been a linchpin to Notre Dame's football success on the recruiting trail and transfer portal. He has been the program's architect, achieving 3 top 11 recruiting classes from 2022 through 2024. That's a mark that Irish had not attained since 2006 through 2008. During those years, Notre Dame landed the number 4, 5, and number 4 classes, respectively. USC fans will think, well, you know what? Around that time, USC was doing pretty good. They were bringing in top classes. They didn't have a general manager or anybody that was doing something special. Lane Kiffin was there. So again, I think we're just seeing a shuffling of the deck chairs on the ship. All of a sudden, recruiting coordinator, you're now general manager, because that's what it sounds like. And I'm not saying this to take anything away from Chad Bowden, not in the least. But it seems like he's getting all the flowers, and Notre Dame staff just kind of got all the credit. Didn't do anything. Trust me, every single program uses those same 5-star recruiting hot boards. It's not like Chad was finding guys that USC wasn't aware of. So again, when Notre Dame was being credited for those classes and the wins on the field, Marcus Freeman was the one taking the bow. Maybe this is unique to South Bend. I don't know. But here's another quote this one's from Steve Wiltfong on 3. Anyone Notre Dame was recruiting, he had his hand. He had his finger on it. Some of these guys, he was almost the lead recruiter. Then there's the philosophy of how they were doing visits and all the big Irish recruiting events that they had. He had a huge input on all that, and Marcus Freeman trusted him. He's coming in there to restore glory at USC, the same way his mission every day was at Notre Dame. So he's coming in as a team guy ready to help elevate USC. In general, GMs are going to be more involved in the contract type talk, and I would think roster retention is just as important as adding to the roster, end quote. Right. So I don't know whether it was Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, the Midwest guys who cover Notre Dame, or others in the media like Wiltfong. Apparently, Jim Bowden is the guy that's going to save Lincoln Riley's job and get USC back to the top. Do you agree with that? I think that's giving a lot of credit to someone who was at a place like Notre Dame. They were able to retain their roster, the guys who they recruited 3 years ago. And look what happened. They were playing in the championship game. Now, how much of that had to do with Chad Bowden? How much of that had to do with Marcus Freeman? I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I'm sure they both played a role. But to me, I think it's a little odd that you're giving someone who, behind the scenes, deserves all the flowers, all the credit. So does that mean if USC wins the big conference championship, makes it to the playoffs this year, Lincoln Riley's not going to get any credit? All of it goes to Chad Bowden? Just saying. Let's not go from 0 to 60 and think, hey, we've arrived. He did it at Notre Dame. Let's see if he can do it at USC. Because again, if USC has the necessary NIL funds, and you've got revenue sharing coming into play now, you still have the transfer portal. And that's been the biggest challenge for USC. They are paying players, but there's programs out there who wanted to pay more after the fact. I just don't see how players like an Emmanuel Prion or Bear Alexander say, well, you know what? I just respect Chad Bowden too much that I'm not going to take the extra money from Oregon. Sorry. I don't think anybody's that powerful. Excuse me. All right, one more segment to go. It's rivalry week. Beat the Bruins. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel, the sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from the kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app super easy to use. You know that. I've told you that. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Just bet $5 and you can win. You'll score $2. Let's start over. Just bet $5 and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the Super Bowl 59. All right, you're watching this episode on Monday. First thing, new week. Well, tonight, the men of Troy, they're taking on that school across town. That school out west. SOW. South. Pig. Both teams, they're not really good this year. They're kind of mediocre. They're playing hard. I don't care about UCLA. I care about USC. So I guess this game, the first of the crosstown showdown games, first one's at Galen, the next one will be at Pauley Pavilion. Pride's on the line. Obviously, so is city bragging rights. This is going to be the first matchup between SC and UCLA as members of the Big Ten Conference. And this is also Eric Musselman's first game playing against the Bruins as USC's head coach. So we'll see how he handles that. We also want to remind everybody, USC's two-time team captain, Kobe Johnson, the guy who left USC to go to UCLA. Welcome home. He's going back to Galen Center for the first time. I hope he enjoys wearing baby blue because he's kind of struggled since he made that transfer. He hasn't done well. I'm not sure he's defined a role. He's scoring less than 8 points per game. He's getting just under 6 rebounds per game, and he's averaging 3 assists. Not bad, but he would have been the dude at USC. He seems like the perfect player to fit Musselman's style. So again, not sure why he picked up and left other than he was butthurt. I'm not going to get into that. I've talked about it in the past, but I think Kobe is very immature. So this is going to be USC did not. USC and UCLA split their series last season. Last year when they played at Galen Center, UCLA waxed USC. It was like 65-50, really ugly game. And then when they played at Poly Pavilion in February, USC returned the favor. They got the win. Coach Musselman, the USC basketball program, they're really trying to generate some excitement, trying to get USC fans in Galen Center. So what's been going on social media, I've been following, is they've been getting a bunch of former players to jump online, give like 30 seconds, and explain to everybody why this matchup means so much. Some of you are old enough to remember that 2001 USC team that went to the Elite Eight. Well, Brandon Granville and Sam Clancy, Jeff Trepanier, David Blumenthal. That was my favorite USC team of all time. By the way, screw you, refs. Screw you, Duke. Still haven't gotten over that game. Well, all of those guys, they're leaving messages all over social media. I think my favorite one so far was from Brandon Granville, point guard. Let's whoop that ass on Monday. And he just said it with such a straight face, so nonchalant. It was just supposed to be like a throw-in line, but that's the only one I heard. Yeah, let's whoop that Bruin ass. By the way, did you know that Drew Peterson, who plays for the Boston Celtics, he was 3-0 against UCLA at Galen. This year, you got UCLA. They're 14-6. They're 5-4 in conference. They're trying to build on a 3-game winning streak. USC right now 12-7, 4-4. They're returning home after that nice win on the road at Nebraska. This game, USC is favored by 1 point. It's going to be a tight one. I also anticipate it's going to be a physical game. Always is. I expect some trash talking. I hope better. Last year, something that stuck out to me was that game at Poly Pavilion. Arrington Page, no longer with the program, but he hit somebody really hard. Threw him, not threw him to the floor, but sent a message. I think it was Bona. Anyways, after that, USC kind of was like, hey, all right, let's go get this. I don't think UCLA was ready to match that type of intensity. USC ended up winning that game. So as far as I'm concerned, USC needs this game. They need to make sure UCLA doesn't get too happy. Nothing wrong with ending a 3-game winning streak. USC would love to build off their road win at home. Do not let Kobe Johnson get under anybody's skin. Do not let that guy get off. USC has to win this game. For anything, just to, to remind everybody, USC, they own the city. They have the victory bell. So just like football, let's continue to make UCLA's new year miserable. We'll see what happens. I'll be there. I'll be at Galen Center. I'll give you a post-game reaction. It'll probably be late. The game tips off at 7 p.m. at Galen Center. You can watch it on Fox Sports. Don't forget. If you're in the area, get your butt into Galen Center. Eric Musselman is already starting to call the fans out. He's recognized all the support other programs in the conference get in their own arena. There's no reason why USC fans can't do the same for their basketball program. So get out there. All right. Until that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.